Small comment. I like to tell the story that what's really going on in the idea of placemaking and bringing people together from a development of traditional places today is really about the concept of doing things like we did them 100+ years ago, when there was no regulation, right? There was really a sort of peer pressure amongst people to do the right things for the right reasons, to create a benefit for the community, and have a profit mode that worked out for everybody. So I guess the question I want to ask all of you, because you're all participating in different forms, is in today's world where we carry regulations around with boxes, that we have carts with wheels on them so we can bring them to meetings, okay? How important is it to have community involvement on that grassroots level from a political underwriting point of view as opposed to an opposition NIMBY point of view, all right? Who wants to speak to that? You get your mics, you turn them on there and go. Somebody's on, there's a little switch.
Switch up. There we go.
Okay, the question, I believe, was how important is it for community to be involved and supportive of what you're doing? And I think it's multiple layers. It's not just the community. The community is huge. They have to want, they have to need, and there are several layers that have to be looked at, but also all of the political bases, the zoning boards, the planning boards, the consultants, everybody has to be on the same team, and they have to be perfectly aligned. But I don't think you're going to get anything done today if there's opposition with what you're trying to do. And I give the real quick example of the rail. Having a rail crossing with pedestrians is a grave concern for rail operators. So you have to keep working at everything until you have solutions for everybody across the board. And somebody mentioned before the win-win-win scenario, and it's absolutely win-win-win. If you're not there, if you're win-win maybe, you're not done. So just keep working.
Anybody else want to address that?
Yeah, I agree. It's better to get everyone in the same room as early as possible, rather than waiting to the end and dealing with the conflicts toward the end of your project when you've already invested all of that time and energy and money in developing it.
And I'd say it's a constant process. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep getting the message out. You have to keep inviting the public to meetings, and you have to keep the conversation going. We find these days it's very difficult to get the word out and get people in. So you've got so many different forms of communication these days. Social media seems to be the way to go. We do have newspaper coverage. We do speak at Common Council meetings, and it's a multitude of platforms that have to be utilized in order to get the message out. But bottom line, it's people actually seeing things happen. And those who said, well, it could never happen, then suddenly say, well, maybe it could. And we get to the maybe stage, and then we get to the, okay, now I'm going to engage, and I'll be a partner with you.
Well, you're talking about getting people together, so you're getting the information out using technology, right? The internet, media, Facebook, all that stuff. But how often do you have to get them together? Can you get them together? And how many people come as a percentage of those that you're reaching electronically?
In our experience, unfortunately, I think the physical engagement of people coming to meetings is far less than we would like to see. But the ones who do appear are the most engaged. And in many instances, if they had concerns when they're surrounded by more positively minded people, they get their concerns addressed in a very positive manner. And then they become positive with results. And they're very much oriented to being part of the solution rather than part of the negativity.
Yes, Brenna?
In Kingston, we found a lot of success also going to the people. We have a drastically growing Hispanic and Latino community. We have people who don't have access to the internet or don't read the newspaper, and so the city and other non-governmental organizations have found a lot of success going to the restaurants, going to the churches, going to the shops, and engaging people where they are. And that has gotten a lot more voices heard. Still not as many as we'd like to hear, but certainly better than we've done in the past.
How important is the not-for-profit community-based organizations to your missions, all of you?
For me, it's very huge. In our TDD area, we have 3 churches. We have a VFW, all of which draw people from outside the community at large, and we have the fire department. So all of these are not-for-profit, and they're major organizations in the TDD. So these are all people that are drawing outside people in and being supportive of taking care of their needs, their desires is important as well. So to get back to that last question, one of the things that we do, we publish a lot in the newspaper, the little local newspaper that we have. We have monthly meetings, which is brought up at every meeting to talk about where we're at with things. And I've also made presentations personally with maps very similar to what you just saw at our senior events when they have gatherings. So we try to get the word out as best we can to everybody. There is no one source to get word out to people.
Right.
Our Port Jervis is rather small. We have 4 political wards and 3 census tracts. Again, population of less than 9,000. We're currently working to update our comprehensive plan and land use codes. And for the public meetings, we've actually put together door hangers and literally walked the neighborhoods and put the notices on people's doors. And people have responded. With the agencies, not-for-profits, et cetera, it is a close community. So when one segment gets involved, the others get involved because so many people wear multiple hats.
The door hanger idea is an interesting idea, and just put it right there where people get out of their car and reach for the door, and they can't say they don't know. That's a new one. That's interesting. How many one last question, how many big events do you have in your communities, meaning that where you try and bring everybody out for celebrations, fun? I like this unicorn idea. It's wild, you know. How many of those do you have in your communities, you know, on an annual basis or quarterly? Or do you do them in the winter or summer? Just hit on that for a moment, and then we'll open it up to the floor.
In Port Jervis, we have a fall foliage celebration, fall foliage festival, and that's in the fall, late September, early October. And then we have a Christkindl Mart, which is towards November, the end of November. And we have dinner on the Delaware coming up around the 4th of July. And the Historic Merchants Association is really starting to move the downtown together with other activities that the business owners are putting together. So it's interspersed.
Village of Maybrook, we have 2 movie nights throughout the year. We have a 4th of July celebration, which is a big event party with fireworks. We have a 4-day Celebrate Maybrook event at the end of August. We have a 5K that we sponsor every year along with the VFW. The proceeds go to the VFW. And we have probably several other events, senior events and things along these lines. So we try to keep it sporadically throughout the year so that there's never a lag time without some sort of activity. But the movie nights are, we have the Easter egg hunts and a lot of other things for kids as well, but the movie nights are a big draw for people. So.
What do you got beyond the unicorn thing, Cooper? What's up next?
Wow.
Wait a minute.
We have all of our girls' night outs planned through the rest of the year as far as the Downtown Merchants Association. The Unicorn Week is a seed planting idea for a larger eventual festival. but we wanted to start off small and eventually grow it. And, you know, come to our website. We have a lot of stuff going on. You know?
Cool. Give the mic to Brenna there.
Yes.
I might need Getty's help, actually. What month is it? We have 4th of July. We have, are you talking just city-run or?
Yeah, just general community events that where people come out to get to know one another more than
Like-
support a mission.
Events that bring more than 1,000 people together. 4th of July, the Hooli, the Italian Festival, Sinterklaas, Oh Positive, Garlic Festival. Well, that's in Socrates, but we'll promote that too. We have well, you all know. We don't have an events calendar on the city website, but anything you want to find out, you can find out what's going on at kingstonhappenings.org.
All right, let's open it up to the floor. Who's got questions out there?
I have a question, and even though it's for Brenna, but if anybody could give some clarification, that would help also. Kingston is this beautiful historic town, and I was really surprised to see 28% of below poverty, and yet there's a lot of old wealth there and thriving investment firms because of that old wealth. Not far from there is Rhinebeck, and that is such a thriving town that it attracted Chelsea Clinton to get married there. So I'm not understanding, what are you doing to unlock that wealth? Do you rely on tourism? There's something that I'm not understanding with why this hasn't been. Is it the geography that it's hilly? I mean, what's causing it not to be thriving?
Well, actually, it is thriving now. It hasn't been thriving in the past, but it really is now. But we still, have that huge number of residents living in poverty. It's a larger population than Rhinebeck. It has had more varied industries requiring different levels of labor and employees. So there's more of a concentration of lower paid workers in Kingston than in Rhinebeck. And the people living in poverty are mostly descendants of or relatives of the people who were displaced by urban renewal and compacted in one area, and through various barriers have not had access to better education than some, or better transportation to better jobs than some. There are a whole myriad of reasons, but those are just the first things that come to my mind.
I had it there, and I thought nobody would see it.
Okay.
Did that answer your question a little bit?
Other questions?
I just wanted to ask, and especially in Maybrook, how important are events in the community as far as placemaking goes?
Oh, I think it's a sense of pride in general. Maybrook has the second highest growth rate in Orange County, and none of what you saw on the maps has taken place yet. There's a reason for that. A lot of people are saying that it has to do with new senior housing that was just built, but I think it's more than that. We have a pretty good, what I would classify as an outreach program to people. I mean, I ride my bicycle downtown. I talk to people on general. The mayor is out there constantly talking with people. It is a desirable place to be, and I think that's important. So, does that answer?
Yes, and for everyone else, how important are the events?
I think events are crucial, actually. If I could duplicate myself, I would be in charge of more. But I've been showing this through the model of our business. that, I'm getting feedback. Are we cool? I'm showing this through the model of our business because our business, the epicenter of our success is events. And that's a micro model for larger opportunities for the city. And hopefully some of that will generate. But, you know, like even the Fall Foliage Festival, everyone told me, and this is before all the new businesses have opened in the past year, so I was kind of like the new kid. And people are like, oh no, they don't go into businesses at the Fall Foliage Festival. So of course I rented a double wide booth in front of our store. And really? They don't go into stores? I had a line to the back of my store. We have a very long store. The entire day, my hands were cramping from pulling so many espresso shots. It was our biggest day in the store ever. So, and I think events bring together community, but it also brings together new faces. And I think it accomplishes a lot. The key to all of this, and everyone experiences this here, is it comes down always to 3 or 4 people that get burned out very quickly. And we're talking about that in our Merchants Association because it can't just be us. It's got to be a larger collective with people who have skin in the game. But events are crucial, in my opinion, crucial.
Okay, we're going to have one last question before I let the question come up. We have lunch behind us here, all right? We have in 2 locations to pick up, but they have all the drinks at the counter. So grab something and go up there and ask for a drink, and they'll hand you something and you come back to your seat. They just didn't spread them all out. So that way everybody gets a chance to grab something, and then we'll get back to our presenter this afternoon, who is Eric Alexander, a very different type of focus on how he's pulled together hundreds of communities in Long Island and really helped to pull things together. So we'll do that after lunch. One more question.
I just had one other question I was thinking about. For downtown and facade programs and different types of facade programs that you might have available. I know in Beacon, they had an extremely successful facade program for Main Street. And I was just wondering if there are other types of facade programs available in either Port Jervis or in Kingston.
In Port Jervis, yes, we do have currently facade funds available through the CDA's revolving loan funds. Many of those funds were gathered through CDBG grants and, you know, the loaning out and paying back. Unfortunately, because the city is a small city and not an entitlement city, a new decision has come down from HCR as a result of a HUD audit, whereby 630 different communities across New York State will essentially be losing their revolving loan funds because of requirements of federal government, CDBG. It's my hope that we will obtain additional revolving loan funds to make that facade program an ongoing process. It has been used successfully. Different businesses in the downtown have used it, and we have also had other successes with microenterprise grants, et cetera, which help for capital improvements and expansion. So we're a firm believer in the facade because that's what people see when they come into town.
I'm sorry. No, good. Kingston has the Kingston Local Development Corporation, and that organization has 3 loan products. One is a facade loan, sorry, a 50-50 matching loan. There's also a microenterprise loan that could be used for facade improvements, and then there's a regular gap financing product that fills up to 20 or 25% of a total project, which could include facade work. We've also included a facade grant request in our DRI, so rather than a loan, it would be a grant in the Stockade area, also a 50-50 matching grant for facades in the Stockade area, in the DRI boundary.
All right, well, thank you all. It's great. And let's grab something to eat quickly, right?